Hi, okay, I'll start with, I'd like to tell you the story of all time, from the beginning of time to the next era of time for humanity. And how I come to the conclusion of my theory of time is unique. I have my own unique experiences in life that led me to my belief. I'll tell you the thing that led me to the belief was the fact that when I was younger, I used to be tormented by ghosts and demons. Uh, the ghosts would come, they were black figures, like shadow people, and they would come with numbers. They wouldn't be alone, there would be a few of them. And they would do native ritual dances in my outside my window at nighttime. And I would watch them in curiosity, not knowing that this ain't normal. I was really young. I thought stuff like that was normal. Seeing anything like that could be normal to a kid who don't know what's going on out there in the world. And then I also seen another being with them that they used to, after their ritual, he would come. And that being was a giant being. He was half snake and half humanoid. Snake portion from the lower down, and from the waist down, and humanoid from the rest of it up. And that knowing how this being looks is how I determine my theory of everything, uh, from the beginning of time till now. And how it goes is, in the beginning of time, heaven, the universe, was surrounded with life, intelligent life that could associate amongst each other. And they all had their own purposes for God. And the being that I seen, the purpose it used to serve for God was worship. And how I come to that conclusion wasn't just from the fact of what I read in the Bible. It's also from what I seen. The fact that he was half snake meant that this being spent his whole existence on a form of being on its knees, kind of not being on its knees, but in that form of that. And at the same time, he has a rattle on the end of his tail, which meant that he had, in his own being, he had a built-in instrument which they would use while singing to worship God. And then at one point in time, God, these beings decided that since God was not a physical being, that and they were everywhere amongst the universe, that they could take over the universe. And Satan didn't want to worship anymore. He wanted to do something else, and now was slither on his belly in a negative way. Before, the character that served the purpose changed his purpose and became something else, using the being he had that God gave him, and he turned it into something else. He turned it into using it to snake around and be manipulative, and attempted to talk a majority of the beings out of uh, out of their belief or following God, and attempt to step in God's place by having them follow him, since he was the most greatest being that they've seen throughout the heavens. And that he attempted to be the ruler, and he was met by an opposing side of the universe that told him, no, that can't be done. God is the ruler, and he'll return shortly, and when he does, you're going to be in, you'll be in big trouble. So the war raged on, and as soon as it got to the point where they were sword to sword and ready to fight, God returned, and the whole universe shook. In which time, God rounded up the negative side, and he put them here in human, in spirit form, left the other beings out there alive that were his. Then he went about developing man, and then he told the other being, I love man. And then Lucifer didn't understand why. He thought, oh, he decided he would make man part of his heaven, which means eventually mankind, part of it will be cosmic beings. And so then at that time, God formed man, created the tree of knowledge. Man, but the only being ever created that had a tempter available, fell for the temptation during the development of his creation. He fell for the temptation and he became a fallen intelligent species. And at that time, we've been living through what the heaven currently exists as a place where God is there behind it all. And the beings are left in charge under His will, all intending to serve His will one way or another. So with that, finding out all that part of it all, I come to the conclusion on who's the enemy and who's the friend today. It turns out that the Christians are right. They're God's chosen people. In fact, the harvesters have returned to collect up the Christians right now as we speak. They're made their way around the world, and at the same time, the humanists will be the new enemy of the Christian. They'll come out and they'll attack Christianity using proof of extraterrestrial life to back their play. But according to my theory, life has already existed under God, and they're attempting to prevent humanity from getting there. Thank you very much for your time, and see you on here again.